We are about to see some serious stuff hit the fan.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
Yeah. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of two separate analysts who believe we are in for a tornado of problems, both on the economic front and on the war front. Of course, arguably the economic front will have global ramifications. But over the past 24 hours, NATO made a massive mistake. But it was intentional. It was an intentional mistake. It was a blunder, launching an attack against Russia with a sophisticated attack on the Russian Navy. Big mistake. And Putin knows exactly what they did. And of course, we are watching now to see how bad this actually gets. We just saw our clearest sign yet that an all-out war is coming. And if you're an investor, you need to pay attention to what's about to happen to the global economy as we slide into this recession at the beginning of 2024. We've got a bunch of big stories that I want to get to, and they're all tied together on energy, on debt, and war. So let's start with the war, which is incredibly important to understand because the United States wants to own Ukraine fully so that BlackRock and Vanguard and all of these other massive corporations can take full control of the land. Now, over the past few hours, intense fighting has broken out between NATO and Russia. NATO launched a massive attack on the Russian naval fleet in the Black Sea. This is an attack on Crimea, which is Russian territory. Therefore, NATO just launched a missile attack against Russia. Plain and simple. As former UN weapons inspector and friend of the show Scott Ritter points out, make no mistake, this was a NATO attack.
This wasn't a Ukrainian attack against Russia. This was a NATO attack against Russia, and that's the significance of it. What Russia chooses to do, we'll find out.
Before and during the attack, a U.S. Navy Boeing Poseidon aircraft was flying over Romania's Black Sea coast. We know what this was.
I mean, but this couldn't have happened without American and British NATO assistance.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky just went to Washington this week begging for more weapons and more money, and he vowed to continue the Ukrainian counteroffensive into the snowy winter. So wait a second. The entire spring and summer counteroffensive has been a failure, but now Ukraine is somehow going to pull off a massive offensive in the snow? Okay.
How was the meeting with Zelensky, and did it change your mind at all?
Well, no. I mean, what the meeting revealed to me is that in the words of President Zelensky, the conflict is a total stalemate. That's what he said. Totally frozen, I believe, was what his words were. Which is also what the administration told us yesterday. The administration told us yesterday they want to spend $100 billion more, our money, more, over the next year in the hopes that it will remain a stalemate. Which leads me to ask, what is the goal here?
But meanwhile, Putin has been quiet. We know something big is coming. But there's more big pieces of news this morning, not just the physical fighting part, but the energy disaster that the West is about to face. So JP Morgan is out with an ominous warning this morning that we could face multiple energy crises over the next few years. And get ready, he says, for $150 a barrel for oil. That would push gas prices to astronomical highs, unlike anything we've ever seen before. I mean, we're over $90 a barrel right now, and it's been crushing for a lot of businesses. And you, let me know in the comments below how much you're paying for gas where you live right now. Well, this JP Morgan analyst calling it a super cycle. I'd call it, frankly, a perfect storm. So all of those sanctions against Russian gas and oil are about to destroy the Western economies. Here's exactly what he said. Dear generalists, put your seatbelts on, he says, paraphrasing. While we believe the sector is in a structural upcycle and oil should normalize higher. So that's basically analyst speak for, oh shit, oil is about to hit $150 a barrel. An upcycle, normalized to the upside. He says the stupidity of moving towards a total green future and the Russian sanctions could push us into, quote, multiple oil-led energy crises in this decade. Potentially much more severe than the gas crisis seen in Europe in 2022. Of course this is happening. The war in Ukraine has pushed Saudi Arabia and Russia into a tighter alliance. Energy prices up 30% and rising. Experts say if you want to see what the U.S. is going to look like, just look at what's happening in Germany. President Biden depleted our stockpiles of oil reserves in order to score a few political points, leaving us totally vulnerable, at the same time provoking an all-out war with Russia. Smart move. China gets it. China's President Xi Jinping this weekend said getting rid of fossil fuels is unrealistic. He gets it. The West does not. As the AP reports, Germany went from being the envy of the world to the world's worst performing major developed economy. They did it in a short amount of time. Well, what happened? Well, Russian sanctions happened, and they moved towards a green energy economy, a collapse of manufacturing and industry, and a total energy crisis. Of course, that spreads to all industries, namely housing. As The Economist reports this week, Germany's builders are on the verge of collapse in a housing crisis, thanks to an energy crisis, thanks to Russian sanctions. Turns out you need energy to build things. I guess these morons in the West didn't think about that. But it turns out they did think of this, because even last summer the warning signs were there. Economists were warning that entire sectors of Germany's economy would collapse. Even as Bloomberg reported back then, we knew it was coming. And now the United States is facing a similar fate. Now to the other big news of this morning, the U.S. debt. We hit $33 trillion this week, a new all-time record, and the interest payments alone on the debt are nearing $1 trillion. Just the interest payments. But the analysts I'm speaking to are saying be very, very careful about the U.S. dollar right now. Because if you've got your money sitting in cash, be very careful. This week, the U.S. dollar surged on some good news. And you know what the good news was? That Europe is in trouble. So stocks took a hit as investors jumped out of stocks into U.S. dollars. Are they crazy? I mean, investing in U.S. dollars when the government is facing a shutdown, $33 trillion in debt, a global economy grinding into recession by 2024. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll stay away. But let me know in the comments below, are you going to buy U.S. dollars or other hard assets right now?